Let's do it.
Wherever you are, we are your centerpiece for Black thoughts in America. It's News One Now with your host, Roland Martin.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, what's up, family? Welcome back to News One Now with me, yours truly, Roland Martin. In the studio, I've got with me Ebony McMorris. Ebony, tell us what's happening in the world of news.
Roland, we're continuing our Black History Movers, Shakers, and Influencers series, and I've got another astounding person on the show today. You're going to love this brother, Hasani Pettiford. He's a relationship expert, the founder and president of Couples Academy, a relationship training center. He's the author of Black Thighs, Black Guys, and Bedroom Lies, and most recently released Why We Hate Black Women and Why We Should Love Them. Valentine's Day is just a few days away, and you know I had to bring somebody to talk about relationships. Hasani Pettiford, how are you?
I am phenomenal. How are you?
I'm great and glad we finally got you on the show. I want to jump right in. I want you to settle this age-old lovers debate. I think Valentine's Day is necessary. Roland says it's overhyped. What do you think?
I actually think it's both. I think it's overhyped, but I also think it's necessary. If couples would learn to stop celebrating their love one day out of the year and implementing that love throughout the entire year, Valentine's Day would just be like any other day. It would match the atmosphere that you've already created in that relationship.
See, Roland, we're both right. Hasani, is that why you think a lot of couples don't stay together?
Exactly. And I think that the problem is we haven't learned how to properly love our partners. We're not aware of their emotional needs. We haven't discovered their love language, and we don't take the time to do it. A relationship is spelled W-O-R-K because it requires work to make this thing really succeed. And if we're not willing to put in the same work as we would a job, then our relationships are not going to blossom.
That's so true. Now, what is Couples Academy?
Couples Academy is a relationship learning institute that my wife and I actually co-founded for the purpose of helping couples by placing them on the path to fulfillment. So we have retreats and conferences and cruises, and even a virtual university will teach people how to enhance their relationships.
Couples Academy is in its 10th year now. What prompted you to start this?
Well, interestingly enough, in my own marriage, we had challenges and difficulties. So we made a decision that we were going to become marriage and family counselors to improve our own relationship. And after benefiting from all the research we've done for ourselves, we said, let's help others because there's others who have gone through the same things that we have. And so we have, in essence, been like a beacon of light to so many other couples that feel as if they're lost within their relationship.
What advice can you give to those in new relationships that people need to deal with before they get married?
The majority of people get married for love. And while love is a great thing, there are so many other factors involved that will sustain a healthy relationship. You've got to deal with communication. You've got to deal with finances and parenting and what aim and goal and intention you have for the purpose of your relationship. When you deal with those non-emotional things, it will sustain you when you don't feel like you love the person anymore.
You know, if you can't fulfill yourself, then you can't fulfill somebody else. So talk about that first relationship that deals with you knowing yourself. How important is that?
Simply, there are three relationships that we must learn to master. First is the relationship you have with God. That's your vertical relationship. Then the relationship you have with yourself. That is your internal relationship. And then it's the relationship you have with others. Those are your horizontal relationships. You can't have a proper horizontal relationship until you've mastered the internal and vertical one first. At the end of the day, the lowest denominator in every relationship you enter into is you, because you take you everywhere you go. So until you get yourself together and become healthy and whole, you can't have a healthy and whole relationship.
Hasani, you are really dropping some truth here. Now, everybody's not in a relationship, and that's cool. What message do you have for them?
Well, we all have loving relationships. It may not be romantic relationships, but love is not just that erotic, sensual, sexual love, but there's phileo love, the brotherly type of love. There's agape love, God's unconditional love. So focus on the loving relationships you have with your friends, with your family, and celebrate that during this time of the year.
Another relationship that really needs to be addressed is one of that within the African American community. You travel a lot around the world and you talk about this dynamic. How do we bring healing to the African American community and not tear each other down?
It's a huge issue. You know, my latest book, Why We Hate Black Women and Why We Should Love Them, really talks about how we have been, as a people, affected in the areas of our relationships because our cultural experience is different than other ethnic groups. And in order to solve our problem, you've got to go back to the root of the problem. You've got to go back 390 years to the plantation, because that's when the breakdown of the family began, and we're still dealing with those manifestations today. So we need a historical understanding. We need spiritual transformation. We need emotional healing. We need cultural relationship counseling. All of those things together will help us to heal the rift that exists between black men and women in our relationships.
In many arenas, people call you the relationship guru, the black expert on love. Why are you so passionate about this? Why is it so close to your heart?
Well, my parents are still together after 35-plus years.
Wow.
All my aunts and uncles still together. My grandparents were until my grandfather died. However, there's so many of us that don't make it today. So the question becomes, what causes certain relationships to succeed and others to fail? I was on that quest to really share with the rest of the world and our community what we can do to sustain our relationships. If it could work for them, it could work for everyone.
We're coming to the end, but give me one reason why relationships fail and one reason why they succeed.
I think the biggest challenge that we face in relationships today is our inability to effectively communicate with one another. So we all come into relationships with our own expectations, our own thoughts, and we don't effectively communicate that. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges. And the one thing that we can do to help our relationships is to understand that compatibility is not being just like my partner. Compatibility means I can identify and celebrate the differences in the relationship and allow them to work for us instead of against us. If we stop trying to win our partner into our way of thinking and being and just honor them from who they are and allow their strengths to strengthen the relationship, we can have a phenomenal future.
Wow, that's huge. Where can people go if they want to find more information about you and the Couples Academy?
I would highly recommend that all of you right now go to couplesacademy.org, that is O-R-G, or my personal website, which is Hasani.com, Hasani.com.
Hasani Pettiford, thank you so much for coming on the show. You've given us a lot to think about. Thank you for the work that you're doing in the community and for being such a strong leader and great example to follow.
Ebony, Roland, I appreciate you for the opportunity and look forward to our future.
Absolutely. Thanks again. All right, y'all, we have to work on these relationships. Roland, back over to you.
All right, Ebony, thanks for all the updates. And for more of your hot topics, log on to news1.com. Back with more of News One Now with Roland Martin.